Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. We begin tonight with a major milestone for a Maryland university. UMBC is gearing up to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Joining us now is the school's president, who's been there for at least 49 of those years, Freeman Rudowski. Sir, thank you for being with us.
You've
actually, in truth, you've been president for almost half of the school's existence.
That is true, for 25 years, and I was there 5 years before that. So I am coming up on 30 years and within the next year.
Yeah, you've done okay. We'll talk about a lot of the exciting things happening there. But let me ask you first, as a major university president, what's your biggest problem? What do you worry about most on a daily basis?
Sure. We want to help our students to succeed. And we have so many talented students from the arts and humanities over to the science and engineering areas. And many want to do their best. And often they're having to work, quite frankly. Sometimes we can get them work involving their majors, and that's great. But one of the big challenges is helping Maryland families to pay for the education. And so we're doing all we can to give them support, Maryland's families, our own students, in creative ways.
That said, at a school, as a state school, that's one of the best values in higher education.
Yes, we are that. I mean, we send students on, 40% on, to graduate and professional schools around the country and other places, and others get great jobs. In fact, what we say to parents is, if your student comes in and listens to our advice, we guarantee you that student will have opportunities and will not have to come home and live with you when they graduate.
makes it all worthwhile. I was reading some of your many press clippings from the last year or so and saw a quote that I'm now looking for. You said something to the effect of, this is an article on a program I want to talk about, but you said the best prepared students at UMBC are foreign born or have foreign parents.
Often there's no doubt. We have students from 150 countries. Now, many of them are Americans now. They're first-generation Americans, and you know this, throughout the 20th century and before. Often what you find is that the highest achieving Americans had parents who came from other countries. Go to New York, look at all the parents who came from European countries and went to City College or Brooklyn College. They went on and got the Nobel Prize.
They're pretty motivated.
That's the point. And our students, whether they are, whatever the country, they are amazingly hungry for the knowledge and appreciative to be in this country and working to do their best. The good news for us is that we have many students who are also Americans for many generations who have that same sense of responsibility about being their best. But make no mistake about it, the academic environments in our country that are most competitive, that have the highest standards, will tend to have that international influence because people come to understand just how hard people are willing to work. Nothing takes the place of hard work.
More and more, it's a knowledge-based economy. Education counts. How do we give everybody that same ethic about education?
Well, you know, as we work with children, whether in the city or in one of the counties, we are working to do two things. One is to prepare teachers who can inspire students, from our Sherman Scholars to other programs like that. And then we're having many of our students who are working as mentors and tutors to give students a chance, children a chance, to understand the importance of reading and thinking in math and science and the arts. And they get to come on our campus in large numbers, and they get to see just how hard people who are successful work. I mean, a part of the foundation of our country is that if you work hard, there are many opportunities, and we just need to give people the chance to see what hard work means.
Your name was on an article co-authored with Jamie Dimon of Morgan talking about the future of young people,
yes,
and the flip side of the
yes,
argument we've been making that
yes,
not everybody needs a college degree.
Well, and I'm very proud of that article because it's going to give us a chance to look at how we help children in the city and other places who may not be bound for college immediately. We make the mistake of saying everybody should go to college. That's just not the case. No, large numbers should go, and even those who may not go at first may need time for whatever reasons to build up their skills, to become more mature, before they consider a four-year education. Half of Americans right now in higher education are in two-year institutions. Some will be going on to four-year places, but many are getting great skills that they can use to get a job. We need to give students opportunities and options. And as a research university president, I wanted to be on record as saying I care about my students who are high achievers, who come in to do the great things, going for PhDs and MD PhDs, but I should also be concerned about young people who may not be as advantaged as the students we're getting at UMBC.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for Dr. Hrabowski, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen, or please tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. One of the things that article said is that there's a stigma
yes,
in not going to college,
right,
not having a college degree,
sure, sure,
and that's something you'd like to lessen.
I think so. I just gave a keynote to the American Association of Colleges and Universities about the value of the liberal arts, the importance of a liberal education for as many people as possible. But what we see right now is that there are millions of young people who are not going to college or who may have gone and dropped out, and they don't know what to do. And we are saying to them, well, if you don't do that, we're not sure what you should do. Well, there are opportunities. There are many jobs that don't require a four-year education. Make no mistake about it. The best possible opportunity is when one does do that. But there are many other opportunities for large numbers of people who are interested in technical jobs and other jobs, quite frankly, who can, and as a result, can get a job, can pay their bills, can take care of family, and they still can have the opportunity later on to go on and get a four-year degree. And that's a possibility we should give them.
You told me something sort of hard to believe,
yes,
about some of the young people showing up,
yes,
on campus,
yes,
coming in the door, yes, to UMBC,
yes,
already holding,
yes,
a United States government security clearance.
Yes.
And they're interested in the cybersecurity field,
yes,
which is booming. It's a big growth area for
yes,
you. Where do these kids come from?
These young people are from the Baltimore-Washington corridor. They get a chance to work for part of the Department of Defense, and many come out of military families. They are with this nobility of purpose that they want to defend their country, and they've had a chance to work at different national agencies and to work in cybersecurity and mathematics, some in languages. But what's significant is they will, in some cases, come in with security clearances already. And I like telling the freshmen, there are people all around you who can see you. Parents like that. It makes the behavior a little more appropriate.
I just didn't know there were 18-year-olds with security clearances,
yeah,
but it sounds like they're on the right track.
Well, you think about it, we send people to the military, and as a mathematician, I can tell you, a young person can do some of his or her best math when he or she is 14, 15, 16 years old, if given the opportunity. We have to understand the importance of high expectations for all of our students, and then giving them the support to do well, whether it is in learning mathematics or in learning a language or in becoming the best artist possible.
As a mathematician, when did you peak at math? When did you do your best math?
Probably
Yesterday,
in my teens.
Answer,
probably
right?
in my teens. But let's just say I get goosebumps doing it still.
Lovely. I wish I could say me too. Let's go out to Baltimore County. This is Tom. Tom, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling because I am concerned as I visited the city. The economic situation in the city is so detrimental to any invitation or pathway to education, and I'm thinking, what can be done in the realm of education? Let's, for instance, say providing free education at a higher level to enhance the people who have no other way possibly to get educated.
Tom, I'm so glad you called. Thank you very much. Great question.
Sure, it is a great question. Well, if you look at what we're doing at Lakeland Elementary in the city with support from the Northrop Grumman Corporation, what is significant is that we are working with a private family, the Sherman family, Northrop Grumman, and UMBC to build the skills of children at Lakeland Elementary, pre-K on up, and to work with their families and give them support in many ways. And now we're getting ready to work with the high school in that area to do the same thing. Well, the skills that I talk about in the article with USA Today are skills that adults need also. Reading and thinking skills clearly, but also skills in technical areas and other job training opportunities. And the way we can build the economy in our city and in our country is to look at the continuum of skills that people need. When I'm talking to the biotech industry, many of the jobs that are in that industry do not require a four-year degree. They're 2-year programs. The same thing in IT. But I would say whether somebody is going on to college to get 4-year or 2-year, there are other fundamental skills that are important. The ability to read and speak and think and work with people. These are skills that students need in general. What we do at UMBC is to prepare leaders through a liberal arts education, which will allow them to work with young people and to help start programs to help more families and children to succeed. We need more connecting of partnerships between the public and private sectors. Very important.
Arlington, Virginia, this is Tony. Tony, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
My question is about, this is Tony from Arlington,
Yes, sir.
Virginia, in Baya. Question about how ed tech, education technology, is going to affect and impact UMBC and HBCUs as well, as courses are being given online at no cost, organizations like Coursera and others that offer what leads to degrees. What's the impact of thousands or maybe millions of young people going there for their education instead of paying tuition and coming to your universities?
It's a great question. Great question. First of all, if you look at the data on the outcomes of the totally online program of the kind you're talking, you'll see that only a small percentage of students are completing those programs. As a math teacher, I can tell you, not going to have a lot of people, whether it's in math or in the humanities, who are going to come through, young people coming through and doing things totally online. What we do at UMBC is a hybrid approach. We are using technology creatively in redesigning courses, whether in the teaching of English and writing, or in psychology, or in chemistry, so that we can empower students to learn how to learn. And we can use the technology in fascinating ways, whether about visualization or in getting responses much sooner. At the same time, there is something to be said about opportunities for human contact. We want our students to be able to look into the face of a person, to be able to write well, to speak well. And so the technology is an excellent tool. For some people, online instruction is just fine. For returning adults, for example. But for large numbers of young people, we will see what we saw when we were in college, that people need direction and coaching and support. You can get some of that online, but we have found the hybrid approach is not only good for now, but it's going to be the future.
Can it make schools more efficient, less expensive, maybe understanding that the human interaction is important, but maybe those big lecture halls, which I remember, I don't know how much we still have that, can frankly be replaced by a tape?
No, not by a tape so much, but what we've done is to focus on effectiveness and efficiency, but there's something to be said about the interaction, about the discourse, the Socratic method of teaching people how to ask questions.
In the lecture halls I remember, there was very little Socratic method.
No, and we are moving away from it. You're absolutely
forth.
right. No, and students are bored. I'm saying that all the time. And students can't concentrate but so long. Nobody can concentrate. We tend to hear for more than about 20 minutes in terms of neuroscience. And the new studies show that college students typically will fade out after about 10 minutes or so.
That's why we do roughly 10-minute segments here. Unfortunately, our time's up. But stay tuned. More information on the big 50th anniversary.
And the 50th anniversary and grit and greatness, but grit at UMBC. We are the house of grit. Hard work makes the difference. In September, we'll have our 50th. Good news.
Freeman Hrabowski, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just ahead tonight, promising new treatments for leukemia and other blood cancers. Direct Connection continues after this.
tonight on MPT.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, this is Daniel. And this is the Apollo 11 patch Daniel's dad created for NASA.
Michael Collins said what they want is they were the eagle, they were landing on the moon. So he said, I want an eagle in it, and I want the moon, and I want the Earth in the background.
Could this eagle take off in the collectibles market? Find out next time on Antiques Roadshow from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Tonight at 8 on MPT.
Next time on the Dr. Blake Mysteries.
I am very glad to be home.
Lucien Blake returns from Shanghai.
Glad to have me back. I'll let you know.
His first case involves the death of the town mayor.
Graham Trevorrow was murdered somewhere in the town hall.
And the next victim will be someone close to Blake.
Pushed from the upper story landing.
You might want to go home and leave this to us now.
The Dr. Blake Mysteries.
Tonight at 10 on MPT.
The next Maryland Farm and Harvest is off to the races.
These four-wheelers look like mini ATVs, but hold on.
And get a bite of this apple.
Heiser Farms may be the only place you can find the Spencerville Red.
That's this week on Maryland Farm and Harvest.
Tuesday night at 7 on MPT.
What's
Joining us in the studio for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Maria Baer, Professor of Medicine at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and Director of Hematologic Malignancies at the University of Maryland's Marlene and Stuart Greenebaum Cancer Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We want to focus on leukemia. So let's start with what it is and how patients find out that they have it.
Sure. So the word leukemia literally means too many white cells in the blood, but some leukemias do have too many white cells in the blood, others have too few white cells in the blood. It's actually a cancer of the bone marrow. So the bone marrow is the spongy substance inside the bones where the blood cells are made. And they're blood cell precursor cells, and they can suffer damage to DNA and become cancerous. And if that's not repaired, you have a cancer.
How does someone come to realize that they have it?
Sure. So one of a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's a routine checkup and the blood counts aren't quite right, and then there's further investigation and it turns out that there's a leukemia or another bone marrow disease. Sometimes people don't feel well, in particular with acute leukemia. They can not feel well, and that can range from just, oh, something's not quite right, to really being acutely ill and having it really present as a medical emergency.
Talk, if you would, about the range of leukemias. Are there fast-growing versus very slow cancers?
Yeah, or there's acute versus chronic. So in acute leukemia, you have an overproduction of young white blood cells and an underproduction of mature cells. So patients don't have enough mature red cells, white cells, platelets, which are the normal kinds of blood cells. And they are ill, ranging from not feeling quite right to really being very acutely ill with an infection or severe anemia or bleeding. Or with chronic leukemia, it is more of a slow process, often with too many white blood cells, but they're mature white blood cells, and often patients are not that sick. It may be an incidental pickup, or they may be mildly unwell.
What's happening with therapy for this? I mean, how much change has there been in the field over say, the last decade? Sure.
There's been a lot of change. In different kinds of change in different diseases. With the chronic leukemias, the really striking change is chronic myelogenous leukemia, where used to be incurable except with a bone marrow transplant. And about 12, 13 years ago, actually targeted therapy was developed. So the kind of poster child of targeted therapy is a drug called Gleevec that inhibits signaling, abnormal signaling in chronic myelogenous leukemia cells. And patients just simply take a pill, and most of them do really well. They need to be monitored carefully, and sometimes the pill needs to be switched to a different pill, but it's just night and day in terms of the treatment and in terms of the outcomes. So that's the kind of the poster child that's then.
So does that must make you very optimistic about what the next generation of therapies is going to be?
Absolutely. There are different signaling inhibitors like Gleevec. There are different antibodies, immune therapies. It is really exciting. There are tremendous developments and progress, and based on really exciting science and scientific discoveries, but then taking those to new drugs and to clinical trials.
What's known about the cause? I think you said earlier there can be just a mutation.
Yeah. We know more and more about the mutations that occur and the chromosome changes and the molecular mutations that occur. And increasingly, those can then give us targeted treatments. We know less about why certain people develop those abnormalities. There is certain kinds of chemical exposure, radiation exposure, but most people, we don't know why they got it. People always want to know, why did I get it? And we don't know. Is there any sort of family risk or any regional or demographic differences that you see? Right. Family risk is rare, and most commonly there's not a family risk. And sometimes it's thought that there might be certain geographic areas or certain areas where there might be toxic exposures, but that's disputed, and that's the minority. Most people, we really don't know why they got it. Talk, if you would, about the difference between leukemia and lymphomas. Sure. As civilians, we hear about them in the same breath a lot. Sure. It's the same research organization. What's the difference? Sure. So leukemia is a cancer of the bone marrow, and it presents with abnormal blood counts and manifestations of abnormal blood counts. Lymphoma is a cancer of the lymphatic system, so it presents most commonly with swollen lymph nodes, swollen glands. So they're related, but they're different diseases. And all of these diseases are very treatable and frequently curable, so it's very important to get the right diagnosis and the right treatment in order to get the best outcomes. Let's take a phone call. Harford County, this is Bill. Bill, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, doctor. I was wondering where myeloma fits into the spectrum of blood disorders and cancers.
Thanks very much. Yeah, good question. So myeloma is another bone marrow cancer. So it's different from leukemia. It arises in different kind of cells, but it is also a bone marrow cancer. What's the most exciting research going on in your view? Actually, there's so much of it. It's hard to. The molecular treatments, so identifying a mutation that causes abnormal signaling and developing molecules that inhibit that signaling is really exciting. And there have been increasing successes, the first one being Gleevec, and then on from there. But also immunotherapies, so new approaches to harnessing the immune system to treat leukemias and other cancers is a really hot area, and a lot of exciting progress in that area. If frequently these are not immediately obvious to someone that they're developing this condition, and you said it can be picked up incidentally, what should someone do in terms of being aware of changes to their body, and what's your first line of defense? Sure. So if there are symptoms, and certainly in acute leukemia there usually are symptoms, fatigue, low-grade fever or recurrent infections, bleeding, bruising. If somebody's got those symptoms, they should be evaluated. They should seek medical attention. And maybe what's the role for a tertiary care medical center like yours in the treatment of these conditions? So somebody probably starts out at the primary care physician. Where should they go after that? So from the primary care physician, they'll be referred to a hematologist or an oncologist. And for acute leukemia, they usually are just referred to the tertiary center because it's often a hospital admission, and tertiary centers see a lot of acute leukemia, whereas a community hospital will just see a few patients. And
Also, one of the treatments for leukemias is bone marrow transplant, and that's certainly done at a tertiary center. So they're very good hematologists, oncologists in the community, and they, in certain circumstances, will just treat patients. Other times send them for an opinion, but then we send them back to be treated. But sometimes they come to us and we treat them.
Very good. Dr. Maria Baer with the University of Maryland Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Do appreciate it. Please join us Wednesday at noon for MPT's live coverage of Governor Hogan's State of the State address. We will rebroadcast the speech at 7 p.m. and then we'll have complete coverage of the week in Annapolis on MPT's State Circle program. That's Friday at 7:30. Please remember to follow us on Twitter at MPT News. Now, for all of us at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching and have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.